Hey, I'm Rob Espero. I'm with Traci Callahan, AVP athlete, former CUI standout. If you don't know what CUI is, it's not UCI, it's Concordia University-Irvine. So thanks for coming on to volleyballmag.com, Traci.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Hey, we are on the cusp of a very exciting series of events with the AVP. And one of the things that has really stuck out in these upcoming events are the new partnerships that have sprouted for this tournament. So we definitely wanted to hit you up with what's going to be coming up. So my first question for you is, how did you and Crissy Jones end up partnering up for this AVP Champions Cup Series?
So I became a defender last year in July, started playing with Carly Wopat. And then for this next season to play FIVB and AVP, I was searching for a new partner. And Crissy was like probably the top partner that would be on my list. You know, I coached actually at her club T Street when she was 16. So I've known of her, for over 10 years. And kind of just tracked her, indoor career a little bit, and then followed her at Cal Poly. So I knew a little bit about her, and we partnered up for the tournament in Cambodia back in February before pre-COVID, and did really well. We came out of the qualifier, and we beat Lauren and Sarah, and lost in pool play, and lost a close one to Therese and Kelly, 15-13 in the third set. Should have won that one. Anyway, so we had a really good partnership in that first tournament and had decided to partner together for the season. And then coronavirus happened and the quarantine, and we just kind of continued training and planning to play together so that we didn't know when things were going to open up, but we knew that we were going to be prepared for when they did.
Now, what was it about Crissy that made you both pursue this partnership together?
I mean, she's big. She's a big blocker and a big force at the net, and she has a killer instinct. Absolutely. I love that she can hand set, because with my coach Eddie Matthews, we like to run some different plays and just kind of spice things up a little bit. So that was an added bonus. And then with the thing about Crissy is she just seemed like a really genuine person. And sometimes in the beach volleyball world, that's hard to come by. So I really value that about her.
Now, you'd actually alluded to it in your previous response to me, but both of you stand at 6'2", and you'd indicated that you are now at defender status. And any chance we're going to be seeing some split action for you there at the net, or are you committed to just being a defender?
Yeah, I'm pretty committed to just being a defender. The only couple times I've been blocking is when she gets stuck in the backcourt and I have to run up to the net, which is kind of fun because I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm going to get this block, but no, it's been a hard commitment because there aren't a lot of blockers. So I have had, different defenders reach out to me. Hey, will you even just practicing, will you train, be my blocker for this practice? And I've kind of had to say no, because with, it's kind of weird for somebody my size to decide that they're going to play defense. But I knew that if I didn't have a sure mind about it, then nobody else would take me seriously about it. And I'd keep going back and forth. So I kind of just did a hard, I'm a defender, and just found some coaches that also believed in me and that were willing to to put in that work with me.
Well, as a follow-up question, has it been an easy transition for you to go from blocking to a defender?
It has not. I've put in a lot of time and a lot of effort changing my game, working on my quickness and speed and balance. So it's been very difficult. I've had to be really patient, but I will say that I haven't, at one point, I've never decided maybe I should just go back to blocker, because I've always wanted to play at the highest level. And I've just felt that being a defender and playing with somebody who's bigger than me, would be something that could make for a great team at the highest level of the game.
Excellent. Well, my final question for you for volleyballmag.com is, how many trainings and practices have you had together since COVID has broken out and this pandemic has really changed the dynamic of athletes training together?
Yeah. So it's been a challenge, because all the courts in the South Bay were kind of taken out, and but I was really fortunate. This family, the Epsteins, were so gracious. They've got this beautiful court in their backyard, and so I have a good relationship with them. And I've kind of been training. I really haven't stopped, to be honest with you. Crissy and I haven't gotten to train together that whole time because she had to make some adjustments with Cal Poly, and that school, like, having to just kind of, everybody had to adjust and figure out some things. So but we've got a lot of good training together, so I feel really confident going into this tournament that we're on the same page and that we're going to surprise some people, hopefully a lot of teams too.
Well, it sounds like some good stuff, Traci. Looking forward to see how you and Crissy perform during the AVP Champions Cup Series. I'm on screen with Traci Callahan, AVP athlete and CUI standout, and she's here on volleyballmag.com. Thanks for taking the time today.
Thanks, Rob.
We'll be moving the conversation over to the Viral Volley podcast. Again, this is Traci Callahan. We'll be right back in just a few moments. Hey, welcome back to our listeners and viewers from volleyballmag.com. On screen with me for a conversation today on the podcast. Podcast is Traci Callahan, a CUI standout and AVP athlete who is excited to be competing in the upcoming AVP Champions Cup Series with Crissy Jones. Thanks again, Traci.
Glad to be here.
Hey, we're obviously going to continue our conversation, but in 2019, you had some pretty good results playing with 3 different partners, with a best finish of 7th with Maria Clara Salgado and Huntington Beach. Where do you feel you're at physically and mentally, competition-wise?
Physically, I'm at the peak of possibly where I could be right now, which I'm very proud of because it's taken a lot of focus and commitment. And my thought was if there's no tournaments this season, I'm just still going to improve physically because the game of beach volleyball is a physical game. You have to be in great shape to play. And then mentally, it's been challenging not knowing. But I kind of decided to stay out of the conversation of when there's going to be tournaments, when there's not going to be tournaments. And I just kind of decided I'm just going to practice. I'm going to continue to improve and get better. And I feel like I have more confidence now in my game, especially as a defender, having made that transition. I feel like I'm really seeing the game well and seeing players' tendencies. So I feel great right now. So I'm really happy with that. I'm excited. It makes me excited to go into this series.
Well, it looks like you've got some great momentum going in to this upcoming series, no doubt, especially with the talent that you have with you playing in Crissy Jones. But I wanted to look back at your earlier years in the AVP because I noticed, you played in AVPs from 2013 to 2016, but then you took a little break between 2017 and 18. What was the reason for that hiatus?
So in 2015, I played in one tournament, which was New Orleans. In 2016, I played in one tournament, which was New Orleans. So in a way, I don't really count those seasons because I haven't really played full seasons in those years. But that was when beach volleyball started becoming, it became an official NCAA sport. So I had the opportunity in the fall of 2015 to go to Florida State and coach with Brooke Niles and Hector Gutierrez. And prior to that, I hadn't had much official coaching in beach volleyball. It was more just what I learned, on the job sort of thing, and watching other players and some coaching here and there. And in the back of my mind, I knew that I needed to learn more about this game. Maybe there's a possibility that I could go into college coaching, but I just knew I needed to learn more. I had a moment that stuck with me from 2015 when I didn't have a coach, and I was just going out there. I went to New Orleans and I was playing, and I got my ass kicked by April and Carrie, right?
That's okay. A lot of people do that.
But this is what happened is I said, I'm going to go back to Hermosa Beach and I'm going to find 3 players to play with. and I'm not going to get better. And Carrie and April are going to go back to their team. They're going to go back to their coach. They're going to continue to improve. They're going to have a plan. Like, how can I compete with that? I don't have the resources to compete with that. So I just knew that, like, no matter how much I wanted to will this, I needed something more, which in my mind was I needed to understand the game better. And so, yeah, I went to Florida State and had a great experience. We finished second that year. We lost to USC, which was such a bummer in the finals. But yeah, and then I kind of was done with volleyball and had moved on, like official retirement or whatever. I think I put an Instagram post out there. And then I got into yoga, and I was really into like mentoring young women. And I wanted to start a yoga club for them. And then I had zero desire to play beach volleyball, that I knew of. And I met my soon to be husband at that time, who's now my husband. And we were just kind of talking about, unfinished business or goals. And one of my goals was I want to be a defender on the world tour. And I didn't know that was still inside of me, but it was, and that was just always my dream. I wanted to play on the world tour, and I wanted to be a defender, which in my mind, if I would have heard myself say that, I'm like, oh my gosh, this poor girl, like she has this pipe dream, and I had 0 points. I was out of shape. I was never a defender. I was slow as molasses. And I guess I was stupid enough to believe that goal. And, and yeah, so I've been kind of going after that and had some big transformations, since I started on that goal, which I started at the P1440 San Jose. That was my first tournament back. And I think that was 2018, the fall of 2018. And so I just haven't stopped since then. And I really put a lot of work in. So, yeah.
So is it fair to say you were chomping at the bit to get back into the game with this new desire and will to play?
Absolutely. And, any off season, I would always say like, oh, I had a 3-year off season. I don't have the luxury to have an off season right now. Like I have to keep training. I have to keep getting better. And even through this whole, quarantine, still, I was like, I don't have the luxury of stopping like everybody else does, because they've been training. I haven't. So I need to keep training. So that's kind of what's really pushed me through this time.
Wow, that's excellent stuff. Hey, I wanted to jump over to the international side of things. Particularly, you'd alluded to it in our conversation on volleyballmag.com, but in February 2020, you and Crissy placed 5th in Siem Reap, Cambodia, and you'd mentioned taking out Americans Sarah Hughes and Lauren Fendrick along the way. Did you think that the both of you would have that great of a start out of the gate?
From our practices that we had together, I knew that there was something special there, because she does some pretty dynamic stuff. She's really quick. She's got like these cat-like reflexes, and she's strong, and I felt like I had really been learning a lot from Evie, my coach, and I felt physically ready. So we were really confident going into that tournament, even though we hadn't had any results together, and neither of us, we had 0 points on the world tour, both of us. We were 0, 0, and 0, like the last seed in the qualifier. So it was really rewarding to go out and perform so well, cherry on top to beat the number 1 team for sure. And I think more than anything, it just kind of showed us that like, oh, we're here, we can, and we're prepared, obviously we respect those with Sarah and Lauren a ton, but it was just really great for us to go out and be able to do that in our first match. And, we ended up taking 5th, which is a kind of a bummer of a finish, but I think the quality of work that we did as far as playing against, we lost to Cannon and Reeves, and it was a close match, 3-setter, 15-13. So, so we're right there with those teams, and I think that it's even more motivating when you go back to practice with your coach, you have a plan, and you can just get down to the nitty-gritty and continue to improve.
Well, let me ask you, what do you feel like have been your key strengths in competing together so far?
Definitely the fact that we're both really big physical players. We both have a great side-out game. We're strong. We've been working a lot on our vision and our setting. I started hand setting this year, so I feel really comfortable with that. I've had an entire, pandemic season to work on that. And so those are some of our strengths, and we run a variety of sets, which is fun. Yeah, and I think that we were just coached really well. I keep talking about Evie, but I can't say enough about the people who have poured into our team that have really taught us the game, versus just us trying to figure it out on our own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things I definitely have observed with both of you is you're both obviously super physical, but on Crissy's side of things, she has the ability to go on these point tears at the net defensively, like she did last year, her breakout year with Zanamuno at Hermosa Beach. And
Right.
she's just a playmaker and makes defense behind the block a lot easier. So with you
Right.
behind that block, I think that you guys will prosper being that you're as physical as you are.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, that happened when we were playing a couple of matches in Cambodia. I think in one set, she must have had 8 blocks. It was just ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I think your opponents would have to make a big choice, because if you option over on 2, both of you are already up top of the net and can attack
Right.
over.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a deadly combo. Seeing you two play together, I'm sure it's going to create a lot of chaos for a lot of other teams out there.
Yeah, and I hope that other tall girls start to decide that they can play defense too. I really wanted. I think this is the direction that the game is going in. Is that girls are getting bigger and bigger and more physical, and the ones that can play the game at the net and win at the net are going to be the ones that take over.
Right. Well, the thing was between you and Crissy, obviously you being a former blocker, and you guys can communicate pretty well together and see what she's doing at the net and respond accordingly on defense. So,
Right.
and she's a freak of nature on the block as far as
Right.
reading.
Yeah.
So let's look at this time now. Obviously, since March, we've been in pandemic or COVID mode, and how has your training developed or transformed since quarantine in March, if at all?
Yeah. So I think through all the quarantine, my training actually improved, strangely, because it would seem like that would be kind of the opposite. But it was really nice. I got to just focus on volleyball for the first time, so I didn't really have to coach. I couldn't do any other jobs. It just kind of was volleyball. So like I said, I had this court I could go to in Chatsworth, which was great. And then I was training with Mikhail via Zoom calls, and yeah, I just think that my training and even my discipline really improved through the quarantine. So I'm feeling really good about that going into this tournament. I really think that I'm ready for, match after match after match. My endurance is great.
Well, that's a good transition over to my next question. We've been without any competition now since March. Actually, if you look at it, probably since February for you, because that was the last FIVB event that you played any kind of volleyball. But take me through some of the thoughts and emotions that you have being able to now play in a tournament that's coming up, that's going to be put on by Donald's son in the AVP.
So I'm definitely like I said, the mindset has been, we're prepared so that when something does happen, we're ready for it. So now that it's like the tournament is getting closer and closer, I think our preparation makes us more excited to get into the competition versus trepidation because, oh shoot, we're not ready. So I think that's been the difference leading into like our last couple of practices, is that we have a high expectation of where our level of play is at right now because we've put in the work. So we're really excited to go out and just like show ourselves, what we can do and see how far we can go in this tournament.
Now, how often do you get to speak with Crissy or train with Crissy on a weekly basis?
We're training full time together right now. So we train about 4 days a week. Sometimes because she doesn't live close. She doesn't live in the South Bay. So sometimes I'll go out with Evie and do something, extra just for fun on the weekends or something. But yeah, we train full time together.
Excellent. Hey, I'm with Traci Callahan, a former CUI standout and AVP athlete. We're here on the Viral Volley podcast, and we just shifted over from volleyballmag.com. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back in just a moment. Hey, welcome back, viewers. We're here on the Viral Volley podcast from volleyballmag.com. I'm on with Traci Callahan, AVP athlete, and we're here to do our rundown segment just to get the off-court side of Traci to see who she's about. So first question for you, the quick one for you. What is your favorite jam that gets you going pre-match?
So I go back and forth between different types of songs. It's kind of what I need. I'll either do something like Amber from 311 or something from Eminem, like what's the song that's like, this is your moment, you better lose yourself, like you only get one chance, so it's one day it's one and one day it's the next.
Got a rough side to you. Watch out for this lady.
Yeah.
How about a favorite read or book that you're into?
Oh man. So I read a lot of books, right? So it's really just kind of depends on the flavor of that month. But I would say maybe one of my favorites is this guy, Henry Nouwen. He's an author. He's actually, I'm not Catholic, but he's a Catholic priest, and he just writes these beautiful books that are really encouraging. So I really like them.
He wrote the Beloved, I believe.
Yeah, he did. And The Return of the Prodigal Son. I really like that one too.
Excellent. Good choice. Favorite food?
Favorite food? My instinct says pizza, but you know what? I freaking love eggs more than anything. I love eggs.
They had a bad rap for a while there in the 2000s and the 90s. High in cholesterol, but I love eggs.
That's true. That's true.
How about a favorite movie for you?
All-time favorite movie, Shawshank Redemption. I like drama.
Redemption movies.
Yeah.
Got to touch the deep parts of the heart. All right. We're in quarantine mood, and it's the times I got to ask. You're down to one last roll of toilet paper. Who do you give that roll to?
Oh, geez. I'd probably give it to my husband.
Out of need or?
Probably.
Excellent. Hey, again, Traci, thank you for hanging out. I got to ask you one final question, and it's just because of the times we're in right now, and there are people who are in need of encouragement, in need of hope, and with the AVP Champions Series coming up, it's a great escape from what's happening. But what words of encouragement do you have for those out there, including myself, who reach the valley, so to speak, during these times?
Yeah. I would say, one thing that helps me out the most is the way I look at time. And I always kind of don't see time I see time in more of like a circle. So I always look ahead and say, you know what, we're going to look back on this time and we're going to realize that we were able to make it through it. And what that creates for me is it creates for me this value of like hard work, of just not being a victim of the time that I'm in, but almost rising above that time and deciding to put action into what I can control, and I think that hard work pays off. And that's kind of been my mindset for this entire quarantine is like, there may not ever be a tournament, but I'm going to practice. I'm going to prepare like there is one. I'm going to continue to work on my game, play defense, become a hand setter, all these things that I saw the vision of, even though the time didn't kind of said that was stupid. Nobody else was practicing as far as I know, like this is a good time to rest and recover. There may not be a season for 2021. It's like, just decide what you're going to do. And just remember that this time now is not how it's always going to be, and I think drawing back on past difficult times and realizing that those times also pass and you learn from them. And this is just something that's very similar to that.
Yeah. Well, it's great advice from you, especially with the news that came out this week. I don't know if you've been keeping up, but Stanford men's volleyball program
Yeah,
is
I saw.
going to be discontinued after the 21 season. And obviously the volleyball world is a small world. Everyone knows someone there, and it grieves my heart in a huge kind of way, because I know quite a few people are now affected by this loss. And this event, the AVP event, everyone's hoping and praying for the best, because we get to see competition of our favorite athletes like yourself, and just going at it. So we're thankful that you guys are put yourselves out there and allowing us to escape, at least for a little while, for 3 weekends.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, it'll be a great 3 weekends.
again, this is Traci Callahan. Thank you again for joining me on the Viral Volley podcast, and look forward to seeing you kill it with Crissy Jones upcoming
Thanks.
here in the next few weekends.
Awesome.